Hi, and welcome to another episode of Discovering Our Gifts. I'm Jeannie, and with me are my cousins Lenny and Ani. On today's episode, we will be discussing signs and synchronicities and how some of your other gifts could help you to better understand them.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be discussing signs and synchronicities because I'm sure that you all, like we have always, have wondered what it is when you see 111, 1212. You hear a song when you think of someone in particular, and all of a sudden, a song that reminds you of them comes on the radio. You may have a dream about something and you realize later on there was some symbolism in the dream that would have given you a clue as to what was coming. So today we were going to sort through all of that, discuss some of the tips and ways you can identify signs and synchronicities and how to decipher what they mean to you in your life and your current circumstances. So, Carl C. Jung, who was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, he's the one who came up with the term synchronicity. Um, Sometime in the 1900s, I can't say for sure. I'll put a note or something at the bottom. But I guess people were at that time trying to find something to explain events that would happen in their lives, like a sequence of events that would all be like a bunch of signs, or you're so synchronized with someone that two people come together and they have the exact same idea or the exact same feelings about certain things and stuff like that. So people were looking for something to call it, and I guess at that time he came up with synchronicity. I know. Quick side note, we're recording this on a full moon. We've been having technical problems since we've tried to start this episode today. Weird things just happening, on our signs and synchronicities day. So if my voice cuts in or out, or if you hear an echo all of a sudden, I apologize. But we're gonna try and soldier through the episode and see what happens.
Yeah.
Signs and synchronicities are very subjective, meaning they're directly personal to each person. So a sign of a butterfly could mean one thing to me, but it means another thing to you, Jeannie, or to you, Ani. So that's what I mean by subjective. What are some of the signs? What are the most common signs you guys get?
For me, feathers is my number one sign. It's like the ultimate sign. I think it was probably the first one that I started realizing were actually signs. And it's funny because you could see feathers pretty much everywhere you go, but I would start seeing feathers in particular places. Walking down the street, there would be one, a really big one, or teeny tiny ones. Recently, they've come to me in the most weirdest places. Like I was indoors and a micro feather just
I remember
started
that.
falling right in front of my face. Yeah. Um, it picked it up. Well, I caught it. I had a glove on and I caught it with the glove. And then when I tried to move it, it was so micro, it just like disappeared on me. And the floor was like it was white color, so I couldn't really see where it went. And then not even half an hour later, another one in a different spot indoors started falling right in front of my face. So they're very particular and very different circumstances when I've seen these feathers. At one point, I was listening to a video and someone was saying something about seeing, I guess it was like, actually, it was, and it's funny because recently it just happened to me. They were talking about cloud formations in the shape of angels. And I looked up and I'm like, hey, I don't, I've never seen anything in the sky. And I'm looking up, and recently I did. But so I'm looking up in the sky and I don't see anything. And I turn my head back, and all the way up in the sky, there's a white feather floating in the sky. Like they were like, what else? What more do you need? And someone actually told me, like, feathers, why feathers? You can see feathers everywhere. And I was like, no, but I know these feathers are from my guides. Like you feel it, you know it. And I don't know if something inside of me doubted it or what it was, but that day, and I've told the story before, when a client came in and saw that I had a feather on the desk, and he asked me, he was like, do you like feathers? Is that yours? And I was like, yeah, it's mine. I collect them. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he left. The next day he came back with a peacock feather. And I had been looking into peacock feathers because of the show Manifest and how they explained that the feather was is referred to as divinity or something like that, the peacock.
Yeah.
And it was a really significant for me because he brought me not only a feather, but he brought me a peacock feather. So feathers is my number one, but I have a lot. I have a long list of signs.
Have you ever gotten one of your signs when you were thinking about anything in particular?
Sometimes I won't even realize it because that I'm thinking about I won't be thinking about anything at all. And it'll just show up and I'll pick it up and I'll say thank you. But sometimes, like the case where I was like, hey, I haven't seen any cloud formations of angels in the sky or whatever. And then I see that white feather floating up in the sky. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I just know, I always know that it's from them. I know it's from my guides.
What
What
about
about
you,
you?
Ani? I'm sorry.
Me,
Mhm.
always numbers. 11 is always 11, 11, or 111, or 2, 2. Always, always, always 11 or number 2. But every time when I see that numbers, I don't know why, but I feel peace. I feel comfort. I feel like I don't know why, but every time I saw the numbers, I think like a faith, like a belief, like it made me feel good.
Okay.
So
Are you
that's
ever
that's what I
thinking of
think.
something? Are you ever thinking of something in particular when you see the numbers?
Just like a trust, like you have to trust, believe everything is fine. That's what I
You're
think about
okay,
for
you're on
me.
the right path.
Hmm. So 11 is in everywhere for me. 11, 11 for years. Now it's more number 2. Number 2. It's a mix. Sometimes I feel 11, 22, a mix, or 11, 11. I don't know. Because
Yeah.
it's very strong for me. It's a very strong sign for me.
What about you, Len?
I get numbers all the time.
What's
Um,
your what's your strongest sign, do you think? Numbers?
music,
Music?
Um,
usually are my big signs. Yeah. I'll be thinking something and a song will come on and the lyrics in the song will coincide with something that I was thinking. One time I had a dream about being called by a song, say something. Then down the road, sometime I was listening to an audiobook and they described a character was driving along in a car and she starts describing the song that's playing on the car radio. And it ends up being that song, Say Something. And then right at that moment, like as soon as they said, describe the song, my cell phone pinged a notification and I looked at my phone and it said 1010. At the exact moment she mentioned the song that I had dreamt about. Things like that. Dreams too. I get a lot of signs in dreams.
Mhm.
My husband does too. He there was one in particular I'll tell further along, in the discussion, but dreams, yeah. I get a lot of signs in dreams and music, and then numbers. The numbers confuse me the most. Sometimes I get frustrated because it'll be like so blatant that, my guides, my angels, whatever you call them, are trying to tell me something. And I'm like, but what are you trying to tell me? I don't know.
I
Um,
tend to think that when they're sending us numbers, they're reminding us, when they're sending us most of these signs, they're reminders that they're there with us. Sometimes it's
yeah.
a moment for manifestation, like it's a prime time to manifest. Sometimes it'll be something that you're thinking of that you didn't even realize that you were thinking of,
Yeah,
and
I try to
they want to
stop
bring it to you. Yeah.
when I see the numbers, and I try to like, okay, what was I thinking about just now or whatever, even a few
Hmm.
moments before, to try and make a connection or something like that.
Or
Yeah.
sometimes it's an answer to something you question. Like,
Right.
for example, the other day I was at the mall with my husband, and I saw a Trinitaria tree, which is another one of my signs, but it was a plastic tree. And I was like, oh, I feel like going up to the tree and plucking one of their petals, because I've had everything every sign that shows up for me that I can pick up and take with me, I will. Like, I've got a gazillion feathers in my room, but these petals, they're live plants, so they dry and they wither
Yeah.
away. And I do pick them up, but eventually they turn to dust.
Press them
So
in a book.
yeah, I do. I have quite a few pressed in a book. But I was like, look, I'd never seen one of those, a fake tree, that it was of that
Mhm.
plant. I'd never seen one. I was like, oh, if I could, I don't dare, because it was right in front of a restaurant.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm telling my husband, I was like, oh, I wish I could just go up there and grab like rip out one of the plastics and take it with me. So we keep walking, and it was raining. We keep walking, and I see one, but it's a disaster. It's on the floor. It was all nasty and mucky from the rain and mud. So I keep walking, and right at the entrance of the mall is a brand new, clean one just there on the floor in plastic. And I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I got really excited, picked it up, put it in my purse, and kept on walking. And I have it in my room. So they kind of answer you. You just have to be very aware of what you're thinking about,
You have to
what
be
it is.
patient,
Mm-hmm.
aware, and use your intuition to identify what they're trying to say to you and things like that. And when we say they, we mean, your guides, God, angel, whatever you identify with. There's always, everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
So the universe is always trying to speak to you, whether you're listening or not. And it's to your benefit to listen, because many times you could get signs of things to come that you could prepare for. You can get signs of, you need to make a decision, and here comes, there's a job in Philly or something like that, and you live across the country and you don't know whether to take it, and you're just like, I need a sign. And let's say a song that's associated with Philly comes on the radio, that you can take that as a sign to, yes, take the job and move over there. But everybody has to use their own intuition to decipher what the signs are trying to tell you. So
Yeah.
you do have to be open-minded, open-hearted, and open-eyed. Look around. Signs are everywhere. They're everywhere. It's just whether you choose to see them or not.
Yep. When
Yeah.
I was testing, okay, so when I decided that I wanted to change jobs, that the job that I was at was leading nowhere, and I needed to move up, to not level up, but like I needed that change in my life. I was really into starting to get into The Secret. Ani had recommended it to me, and I was really into The Secret. And I started seeing feathers, like I said, in very peculiar places, like indoors and stuff like that. I would see these feathers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Ani, like I would be talking to her on the phone. I'm like, Ani, I just found another feather in so and so place and so and so place. And I knew I was in the right direction. I was applying in the different places. When I finally get a call back to go in and test for a position, I went and I took the test. And right before I went inside the test, we were in a bay, we were near a bay. and me and my husband were sitting there. We were taking pictures, and I turn around and I look out towards the water, and I see these translucent butterflies over the water. And I'm like, babe, did you see those butterflies? And I saw them floating up into the sky. My husband tells me, he's like, no, those are fish. I'm like, no. He was like, yeah, there's some fish, and they jump out the water and they kind of fly. And I was like, no, I saw them. They were butterflies. It's a sign. I'm telling you, he's not big on all this stuff. And I'm like, it's a sign. It's a sign. Went in there, took the test with good faith. And not even 10 minutes after walking out of there, they called me and they were like, you passed the test. We need you to report to so-and-so place for the next phase of your.
Yeah. And I remember you had a dream, like a glitter shoes. Remember,
I don't
when you take the
remember.
test, when you
Uh-huh.
take the test, I remember you calling
Oh,
me.
that was a different test for a different position inside of my new job.
No, I think it was the first time.
It was the first time?
Yes,
I think
the first time.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I thought it was for the second position that I
No.
was going for.
the
No,
first.
it was for the first one. Okay. I don't remember it really well, but I do remember the glitter. It was gold glitter shoes, right? Were they gold?
Yeah.
They were
Mhm.
gold. I've dreamt of jewelry a lot in dreams, which is very significant for I guess money or for something really good that's going to happen to you. I've seen bracelets, rings, earrings, necklaces, a lot of different. You have to be don't be so close-minded about what your signs are going to be.
Yeah.
The most stupid thing is probably a sign and you didn't even realize it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many
I
turtles.
I
Turtles are.
identify with the phoenix,
Mhm.
and I love tattoos. I would have a whole bunch of them if I could. But one night I was bored and I was looking through at Phoenix tattoos, designs and all of that. And I was in a mood that day or whatever. And I was listening to music, and I was like trying to, I guess like get out of my head. So I was trying to see like if I did get a Phoenix tattoo, what I would want written along it or whatever. And there was this song, Rise Up. And I was like, oh, I would have a tattoo with Rise Up. And then that very night, I was listening to videos on YouTube, and they were, scroll, when you just let the feed play whatever comes on next. And it was like a motivational speaker or something like that. And she says to me, holy crap, there's a guy paragliding over me. There's a guy literally paragliding over me with a yellow parachute. Did you hear the motor? Oh my God. I don't know if I can show you. Hold on. You can't see him. I think he blended in with the cloud. Swear to God.
If that's a
So I was letting YouTube play, and this motivational speaker comes on. No, she was a reader, and she was saying, like the phoenix, you must rise up. And I just stopped, and I was like, I literally just was trying to design a tattoo with rise up on it. And she just said it. And it was literally like 3, maybe 4 hours after I was looking at tattoo designs. So things like that. I've been going back and looking through my journal and stuff like that, things that I've written down, readings that I've received and everything. And I think the entire last year before we started the podcast, I kept getting signs that we were going to be doing something that I wouldn't even imagine myself doing, a new path and all of this stuff. And as I was trying to, gather my information for today and everything, I came across it, and it was just like so much of it, I didn't understand it then, and so much of it is making sense now. And this is a year later, in some cases more than a year later. Things that I was being told, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense to me or anything, but I never imagined we'd be doing the podcast.
No.
You
I mean,
know,
the sign for the podcast that came through for me
in,
was
in itself,
the icon for journal on Apple came through because I was having a conversation with my brother about the podcast, where I was telling him I need to ask my guides for a sign that I don't know what, I'll ask later because I can't decide. And I was like, but I got to get a journal. I got to get a notebook so I can get organized. And that's exactly the sign that they sent me the very next day. So they can be very quick about these signs, almost sometimes immediately. Sometimes it'll take a day. Sometimes it'll take longer. For example, when I think I've mentioned this also before, but I had due to my religion, right? I was a little bit scared that if I started paying attention to these gifts and being more open to these gifts, that I was going to go against God and all that stuff because I'm Catholic. And so I asked, I prayed to God and I asked him, I was like, I need to know, that this is okay, that everything that we're doing, that everything that I'm going to be doing, accepting all of this, trying to decipher my dreams and trying to understand all the signs and all the stuff from my guides, if this is if this is okay with you. And I asked for a specific sign because of the book from Signs of the Universe. Is it, Ani? By Laura Lynn
The
Jackson?
science, the language,
the secret language of
science,
the universe.
the secret language of the universe. And I have something to say about that because
with
one
that book.
One of my strong sign is a dragonfly. And I remember I was looking for a dragonfly picture to my room because I like dragonflies. It's my strong sign. And when I decide to look like a pictures, like a cuadros or something like that, because I don't have nothing like pictures in my room, in my bedroom. So when I tried to look at pictures, dragonfly pictures, I found the book, The Secret Language of the Universe, because how you say that?
On the cover, right?
The cover,
the dragonfly is on the cover.
Dragonfly.
Yeah.
And you say, I say like a book with a dragonfly on the cover. So I was like, let me see. And I discovered another word.
So she recommends this book to me. I start reading it with one of the stories inspired me to ask for a specific sign, which was the story of the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, it's a real good book. We fully recommend it. One of the stories, the guy asked for Eiffel Tower and a giraffe so that he would be 100% sure that the sign was for him. He's like, I can see the Eiffel Tower anywhere. So I was like, I'm going to ask for something not common. I'll ask for monkeys. But and then me and my husband, we have an inside joke with gorillas. So I was like, okay, so I'll do monkey because it'll be easier than a gorilla. I won't be so picky. But I do have that inside joke with my husband. So I left it. And I think 2-3 weeks passed. And I was already feeling kind of desolate. Like, oh my God, none of this, all these gifts, none of this, I'm supposed to be dealing with any of it. I was like, oh man, I haven't received any. I got really sad, really And then all of a sudden my son comes and he's like, Mom, I had the craziest dream. I had this dream that I saw you in the backyard. You were in this tower and you were surrounded by gorillas. And I looked at him and I'm like, what? You know, I couldn't believe it. Like, he left me speechless when he said it, because not only did they send me the sign through my son, but they sent me the Eiffel Tower. They sent me gorillas. He said there was another animal in the room that he doesn't remember what it was, but they sent it in the way that is my most strongest gift, which is dreams. That's how he received it. And I was like, if that isn't the biggest sign of all, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And that for me, and I didn't ask my guides, I asked God for it. And that's how they, you know, it. So whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it is that you pray to, go ahead and ask them for it. And Journal actually just sent me a notification right now. So, and which was the second biggest sign for me, which is why we're today doing this podcast. So if not, I think I would have probably walked away from all my signs, from all my dreaming, from all my gifts, if all of that hadn't come through. So be very aware of your signs. And
Yeah.
then
Puedes,
That's when you want patience. You know, that's where the patience comes in. And the sign will come to you when it's supposed to come to you. You can't put a time limit on it, because then you kind of work again, because you're trying to manifest the sign also in a way. You're trying to, you know, you're putting out into the universe this question of what should I do? So
¿cómo puede, can you translate for me something?
yeah.
I want to express I want to say a través de un signs, a través de una señal, tú puedes llegar a muchos caminos buenos.
Through signs, through.
yeah, through your signs, you know, you can be led to good paths and to good things if you follow your sign, if
Yeah.
you're able to decipher them properly. And that's where your intuition comes in, you know, trying to understand. Sorry, that's my cat. Trying to understand what it is that you're being told, and be open, you know.
Yeah.
Don't, if you receive a sign and it is a blatant sign, don't tell yourself that means nothing, or you know what I mean, because then, you know, if you're going to ignore the signs, there's really no purpose in asking for them.
Yeah.
When you
I
receive
mean,
the sign, accept them.
Ani received her spirit animal through signs. That's how she
Yeah.
was first aware that her spirit animal was going to be what it is. Go ahead, tell them.
Yeah, a wolf, lobo. Yeah, I was trying to do a meditation, but I call my freestyle meditation. Because when I do my freestyle meditation, it's like try to connect and feel peace, and try to see something or hear something, you know, with about my guides or something. And the first time that I did my freestyle meditation, I saw a wolf. And it was very curious for me because I don't see wolf, you know, in anything. You know, it was very surprised to me. And it was across to the river. So it was something more. So I say across to the river, I saw a wolf. I think 1 week later, I found a video. I forgot the name,
Susan Gaisman.
Susan Gaisman.
Gates.
He was
Gates,
talking
I think.
about
Gaisman, yeah.
Yeah, Archangel Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the video and I said, oh my God, that's a good story. So the next video, it was, she was talking about the wolf. And I was like, wait a minute, wolf again. So I think she said wolf appears in your life when you needed guidance. And I said, so yeah, I received the message. So it was a sign, a strong sign.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Christina Lopes, when she spoke about spirit animals, she said your spirit animal will come through to you when you need them, when you need the medicine that they can give you. So if whatever the characteristic of the wolf was that you needed in that moment, the wolf was there to give you that energetic support, so to speak.
Yeah, and if something happened more like I think 2 weeks ago, I was so tired and I was sleeping, and my son wake me up because I have to go to a party very close to my apartment. And he's saying, "Hey, mom, wake up because it's 4 o'clock and you have to go up for 4:30." And I say, "Oh my God." And I say, you know what? Pookie, my dog, he was sleeping with me all the time. I think I was sleeping for 4 hours, something like that. And I know Pookie was very close to me. And my son tell me he don't know nothing about the meditation that I do and the wolf. He don't know. And he say, that's the wolf doing. He protect the other wolf when they are sleeping. And I was like, what do you say? And it was very surprised for me because he don't know anything about that. Like tell you about your signs,
Right.
and I say, "Oh my God, what do you say? How do you know that?" And he say, "I saw that in a video on YouTube like 1 year ago." And I say, "Oh my God!" And I was like, huh. So another sign with it wolf.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a sign. It's a strong sign too
I
for
don't know
me.
what my spirit animal is. I think that
The
might be one of the
same.
next things I attempt to connect with to find out.
I know mine's is a feline for the simple fact that I see them all the time in my dreams. They'll be either regular cats, they'll be kittens, or they'll be lions or lionesses. I've seen those specific, the cats, all different colors, all different kind of cats. But when they're like the big ferocious, it'll be the lion or the lioness. Those are my, now what was funny was the other day I'm in the store in a line at a store, and you know how now in checkout that you through the line you have all this stuff right there in the line with you, so you can browse while you're about to check out. So I look up, and actually in a dream, I can't recall the dream right now, but in the dream I saw, no, I'm sorry, it was in a meditation. I saw, I was meditating and I saw a sign of well, not a sign, an image of a Hello Kitty pop up. And then it was almost as if a cat came and broke the sign of the Hello Kitty. A cat jumped right through the Hello Kitty and into my arms, and I started, petting it and cuddling it, and then it went away. And I'm like, was that a figment of, because I question myself all the time and I shouldn't, but I do. So I'm like, was that a figment of my imagination? Did I really bring this through meditation? So the next day I'm at a line in the store and I see a Hello Kitty on the line. And I'm like, Hello Kitty. I'm like, I didn't even know what it was that was over there. It was in a box and you could see that it was a Hello Kitty.
Right.
So I'm like, as I got closer, I'm like, nah, no, that's nothing. That's just toys, a coincidence. Right under it are figurines, Egyptian figurines. And there were 3 cats in different poses of meditation. All 3 figurines. One was like this, one was like this, and then the other one was with the hands in front of them like this, cross. And all 3 were cross-legged Egyptian cats in different poses of meditation. I was like, okay, I understand. I'm listening. I
In
got it
your
right.
face.
Yeah, they're very, at least my guides are very
Direct.
yeah, very direct and not very patient with me, I think. They're like, are you that hard-headed?
Oh, same
But
girl, same. Sometimes I've gotten frustrated, because you get signs and you just can't connect them and everything. And I know they on the other side must be like, why don't you open your eyes?
yeah, yeah. And then actually I was thinking about, when I stopped to think about it, what were they trying to tell me? Through a reading from Venusian Light Tarot, she had been talking about the Egyptian sand, the pyramids, and all that stuff. And we have been discussing our why that would be coming up for us
Mhm.
in readings. And then all of that led me through my spirit animal to Egyptian cats. So
Yeah. I
it
remember for
was
a long time ago, I had a dream with a cat. It like a something with Egyptian, or I don't know how can I explain that, but I remember I was in Egypt, that's right,
mhm.
and I was walking with someone I can remember. I don't know who is it, but I saw a cat, but like a regular cat, They have a lot of type of cats, like a regular, like a like a normal cat.
Type cat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a normal cat, but ellos tenían como, you can translate después, ese gato tenía como, vamos a decir, como un paño encima,
Mantle, like a mantle over himself
con los jeroglíficos, con jeroglífico.
with
Era
hieroglyphics.
bien raro,
Hieroglyphics, is that how you say it?
sí, como escrito jeroglífico en ese paño, y ese paño estaba encima del cuerpecito del gato. Y yo me quedé mirando eso y yo, pues, por mucho tiempo me quedé pensando que ellos hacían en Egipto, pero yo estaba como, como caminando, como alguien que está
You were walking in the desert in Egypt like a
paseando de
tourist.
paseo, sí, like
Mhm.
a tourist, pero a la misma vez era como raro, como en los tiempos de antes, y vi un gato con ese paño encima, con unas cosas escritas. Y por mucho tiempo me quedé pensando en eso, ¿qué será eso? ¿Qué quiera decir eso? No, I don't know, no sé. Todavía estoy pensando en
Well,
qué será.
the thing about
Él
guides
nos
and
dice que
signs.
los gatos
Uh-huh.
para los
They were
egipcios,
connected to the gods.
para la gente de Egipto,
Mhm.
era algo súper sagrado para ellos, que
Right.
tenían a unos dioses de gato. Y
Yeah.
era bien importante porque significaba algo espiritual para ellos.
Yeah.
No sé bien, pero eran súper importantes,
Yeah.
más que
Cats
los
were
perros.
very significant to the Egyptian culture in ancient
Yeah.
times. They were idolized in many ways. They had statues and carvings of them, and they held them in a very high spiritual esteem. Um,
Mhm.
they even mummified cats. They found mummified cats buried with, I guess, their owners and stuff like that. So yeah,
With
they
the
were
pharaohs.
very important, yeah, symbol in ancient Egyptian culture.
See,
Yeah.
guides will send you on hunts, like a Easter egg hunt. They'll give you very out of the blue signs that you have to piece together to figure out what it is that they're trying to tell you. I mean, the other day on my way to work, I saw a really weird piece of a rainbow up in the clouds, just like a square, a big square, but a square of a rainbow. I couldn't see anything else of it, and it was pretty clear sky. And then there was just this one piece of cloud, and right on top of the cloud was this piece of rainbow. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So I'm seeing it. I'm like, I tried to take a picture of it. I did. If I haven't looked at it actually, I just remember now. But if it's a good picture, I'll put it in. And so that very same day after I got out of work, I accompanied my husband to a store for a car part. And I'm waiting for him in the parking lot, and I look up in the sky and I see these huge wings in the sky. I mean, huge wings in the sky, and I'm like, a cloud formation of like angel wings. And it's the weird thing about it was if I looked at it from a certain angle, it looked like an angel kind of in flight with his wings up in the air. And
Yeah.
if I looked at it from the other angle, it kind of looked like a white bird with its wings in the air. So it was like both at the same time, or I don't know if they were trying to tell me, because I've been seeing white pigeons also by themselves. The first time I saw it, it was this one white pigeon with two black ones on each side of it. And I was like, look at those weird birds. And then I saw them again, those same birds in a different location. And I was like, thinking, it's like something was telling me, like my intuition or my guide was telling me, this is
Yeah.
the sign for you. But I'm like, how weird. What does it mean? And then I saw it by itself. In both locations, I saw the white pigeon by itself. As a matter of fact, I saw it again today. So for me to see it up in the sky as first as an angel with the wings and then as a bird, I'm like, wait. So is that what they've been trying to tell me? You know, like they're with me. They're
Wasn't
angel
there a
signs.
reading soon after you saw the birds, the two black birds with the white bird and then the white bird? There
Yeah.
was a reading and they specifically mentioned black birds and a white bird, three of them, I
Yes.
think. Like it was very
Yes.
specific. I
Yeah. They
remember,
mentioned
and
it.
it was about,
Mhm.
I think it might have been a little bit about the podcast
It was.
to some degree. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I have the pictures of them. I'll if they're pretty good, if they're good quality, I'll link them with the video. But and then Rachel, the very next day, she also had her own experience in the clouds. Ani. It
Yeah.
was good.
Yo pensé que iba a seguir hablando.
No, well, I'll let you tell your story.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon, like at 7:30, I was on my way to pick up my son at the school. And when I saw this, it was the sunset. And when I saw a big, big sign, like an angel, like a, yeah, like an angel,
Yeah, it looked like an
complete
angel. I
angel,
saw the
but
picture.
so big, so big. And I was like, oh my God. But
I was gonna try and crop the picture and post it below, so if I'm able to get a good,
Yeah, we'll put it on.
we'll put it
yeah,
on.
and I remember I say, but Jeannie saw one yesterday or 2
Yeah.
days ago.
No, it
And
was
I
the day
went,
before. It was yesterday for
oh,
you.
the day before, and I say,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So 2 times, and I say, So try to be happy. When I saw my signs, I have to feel positive, make me feel like, with faith and belief.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yesterday,
And they are close. They are
I
close
s-
with us.
I had another reading. These are readings on YouTube, and we don't pay for them.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it I have to I'll let you know if it's Venusian or if it's I think it was
Yeah.
Venusian.
There's
It's
been like
Venusian.
3 of them that have been speaking directly to us.
Well, but I think it was Venusian, the one where we had to pick the butterfly. She
Yes.
specifies she scries and she gives you pick up which butterfly most resonates with you, and she gives you a reading. So in the reading, she specified how she could see these clouds, and there was like an angel above them. Above the clouds, there was an angel watching over. And I was like,
Oh,
wow. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
that
in Venusian tarot. I'll send it to you today. But she
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. So she
Okay.
specified, and so I was like, wow, okay. So it wasn't, it was, wait till you guys see the pictures and you guys can decide what we're seeing, it looks to you like angels also. But
Yeah.
they send you on hunts. You have to piece together all the puzzles. Your guides are with you all the time. All the time, listening to every single thing. The other day, me and Lenny were having a conversation on the phone. We I won't go into specifics about what we were talking about, but every single thing that we talked about, was it you that got the video? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
she calls me like 2 or 3 hours later. She's like, "Are you ready for this?" She's like, "You need to listen to this video." And I'm like, "What is it?" And she's like, "Just listen to it and tell me what you think." As soon as I listened to it, every single word that we had talked about was in that
Specific
video.
words.
And the video was posted an hour prior to our conversation.
Well, no,
And my
it was posted while we were having the conversation because I was having to look back. I had to time it back, and I looked back to when we talked and everything.
okay.
It was posted
So
while we were conversating. And I remember you said, was she listening to our conversation?
mind you, these women who are doing these scrying, who are doing these readings on tarot, they're channeling their spirit guides. So apparently our spirit guides are over there talking to their spirit guides because
Yes.
for precise, let me tell you. I wasn't even 3 minutes into the video and I'm like, "Len, is it me or was this part of our conversation?" She's like, "Listen to the rest of it." I listened. The whole thing was our conversation. It was crazy. The whole
There's
thing.
an entrepreneur named Robert Edward Grant, and he says that interactions between you and your higher self slash the subconscious and the conscious bring you it's interactions between your higher self and your subconscious, and the conscious, how did he say, bringing you to a super conscious mind state. So you start having interactions between your higher self and your subconscious, and then the universe comes in and manifests the signs that you are having, the things you and your higher self are working through. Like if you're going through an issue or something like that, subconsciously you are communicating with your higher self. And when you do that, and you listen to the signs and you get into like that flow state, you can become super conscious. You get into like a super consciousness state because there are signs around you. According to Robert Edward Grant, there are signs around you every moment of every day. Like, and you just have to be open to them. And once you get into that sort of flow of knowing, seeing the signs, knowing what they mean, and following them, you get into this super conscious state. Yeah. So your guides will communicate with others' guides in order to get the information that they need to get across to you. And so when these women are doing their tarots, it is the energies of all of that is speaking to their guides, and their guides speak through the reader.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff with us specifically has been so exact phrases, exact words, exact thoughts, repeated verbatim, that you just can't ignore that, and I understand they do these as general readings, but like Jeannie was saying, she posted this while we were having a conversation, and then a couple hours later you hear it and you're like, was there a microphone in the car? I was talking. What is going on?
So,
You have to be
so
open
how
and
you call
accepting.
that? Signs or ¿cómo se dice? Synchronicities?
Synchronicities.
Both,
Okay.
yeah. Both.
So like
Mhm.
when
Okay.
we started connecting with the podcast, and we all started receiving signs for each other and
Mhm.
giving each other signs, not knowing that we were giving each other signs. We were working in synchronicity. We were, in that flow state, in that connection where we were receiving and
The-
giving signs for one another.
For example, the dragon that showed up.
Yeah,
Um,
I had asked for my guides for the sign of a dragon. I didn't tell anyone what I asked or what sign I wanted. I did let Jeannie know that I had asked for a sign, but I didn't tell her what the question was or what the sign was. And I had a feeling she was going to be the sign was going to come through, and it did. It was the sign I had asked for, the sign of a dragon, and it came through, and then it kept coming through and kept coming through,
yeah.
to verify and confirm everything.
Mhm.
And in very weird ways.
Yeah. Like the specific color was through a dream that I'd had a long time ago. I don't even think you knew about that dream.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, well, the only way I can reference a dragon I've ever dreamt of the dragon was of this red dragon that was inside of a lab or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's the color of my dragon.
Yeah, it was very. And then an artist released the song. I think it was within that week or that month or something. It was a new song, and dragons were mentioned in the song. And I had been listening to the song for a few days um during that time when I had started receiving the dragon signs. But every time he said the part of the dragon, I couldn't hear what he was saying. So one day after I'd been listening to it for a while, I said, let me look up the lyrics and see what this, because it was driving me crazy. Like, what's he saying? And he says, dragons circling the tower. And I was
Mhm.
just like,
And then after that came through the reading, like 2 weeks later, comes through another reading from Venusian, where during the reading, she shows a wolf card, which I'm now thinking that, wait a minute, because we recently learned that her spirit animal is a wolf. During the reading, she gives up the wolf card, but she closes that reading with one card of the dragon and the other card of a lion. And that's how she closed it. I was like, what? All three spirit animals came out in that one reading
yeah,
for us.
yeah, it
So,
was crazy.
and you might say to yourself, if you're a skeptic and you're like, oh, that could be everybody's spirit animal. But if you have faith in this process, if you believe in all this stuff, then yes, you will
Yeah.
see it as signs. And eventually you will see that you were right about it being a sign,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
If
they
you
are
believe, you can see.
exactly.
yeah.
So all
And
about that
sometimes
blind faith.
signs can tell you of, bad things that are coming,
Hmm.
things that you can prepare for. My husband, I had asked him if I could share the story, and he said, yeah, yeah, no problem. Um, his grandmother had passed, um, probably about 4 years before, something like that. And he dreamt of her. They were in Puerto Rico, and he was at his barber shop. He was at a place where they cut men's hair, and his grandmother walked in with $3, and she said, here, this is for your barber. And he said it was so vivid and so real. Like, he was like, he wanted to hug her and everything, but she left before he could even react. And I told my friend about it, and she said, you know, I'm scared to tell you this, but in my family, threes in a dream aren't good. And I was like, oh my gosh, this was during the pandemic. This was during the first uh 6 months into it, something like that. And um I was like, crap. I got scared because I had started cutting my husband's hair at that time. Because everybody was doing, not going to the barbers and stuff like that. And I was cutting his hair, and I was freaking out a little bit, but not trying to pay it much attention. And then unfortunately, maybe a month later or something like that, we got a phone call out of the blue. that his brother had passed suddenly. And all of a sudden, I remembered his brother used to cut his hair. So the grandmother came in and said, give this
Okay.
tip to your barber, to your hairdresser. And his brother used to cut his hair. So she was letting him know she was coming for his brother.
She was
Yeah.
giving him a tip.
Yeah, giving him a tip. And, it was completely, he was very young, his brother. It was completely out of the blue and unexpected. And so, we knew something was coming. We just didn't know what, that type of thing. But we were kind of, no matter what, you're never prepared for a phone call like that, especially when
No.
it's unexpected. But it was like we already knew something was coming down the line,
Mm-hmm.
So we were a little braced for something. Yeah, so sometimes signs can come through and let you know, like, prepare yourself. There's
Yeah.
this thing coming because life isn't always good. There's, bumps in the road and everything. And sometimes you need to prepare for it financially, emotionally. You may need to, they may be telling you you're going to have to move soon. So, you have to prepare yourself for the process of relocating, finding somewhere else to live, packing up and getting somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ways that signs can help you prepare. And, let's say it is that you have to move. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting these signs and you're keeping in mind, I should look out for rental places or places that are available for rent and stuff like that. So you're already, once you get the news, like, oh yeah, we're going to terminate the lease, we're not going to renew it anymore, you're going to have to move. You already have a few places in mind, things that you would do and all of that. It's a little preparation for what is coming,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not taken so off guard. I also take signs as confirmation that I'm on the right path,
Yep.
that I am where I'm supposed to be. I get, like I said before, I get frustrated with the numbers because sometimes I can't understand what they're trying to tell me. They'll come at very particular times, but then I just, you know what? This is just be patient, keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. Um, what is that? Deja vu.
Oh yeah.
I've just so I don't drive, because I'm a person, I need to know why for everything. It's part of my makeup. I need to know why. Everything has to have an answer for me. So deja vu, I just started saying, okay, this is just a sign that I'm on the right path. I've been here before. I was supposed to be here. I'm on the right path. That's how I started taking deja vu as good signs
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Signs for me hit home a lot and hard because like I said earlier, my strongest gift is through dreams. My dreams are riddled with signs all the time. So I have to be writing down all the stuff that sticks out to me that could mean something, just to look it up and see if it means something. And recently I've been getting a lot of very weird signs, like very particular signs, and they're a little bit more obvious about it, to the point where I don't have to look up every single thing. I already know that every single thing that they're giving me is something. And I've had to, Google is my friend. Google's a very good friend of mine. And I'm always looking up the definition of this and what could
Spiritual
this mean,
symbolisms,
spiritual meaning of this, define this for me. Recently, they gave me something that I still don't know exactly what it is, which is the
What?
redwood tree, and I don't know what it is. Actually, I had a whole list of symbols, and I realized that I had two different ones, which was a series of numbers, and then there was a word. So I thought there were two different signs. It ended up being an address, because nothing would come. I mean, yes, the number that they gave me was actually very specific to Archangel Raphael. Was it Raphael?
I think
Or
so.
I discussed it. I discussed it with her. I was like, I need help. I have a list of things that I need to figure out what this is because I couldn't figure it out. It was a lot and very random things that I would have never in a million years put together to mean one thing. And so then after a lot of Googling and ending up in wrong, like with no like dead ends, I realized that it was an address. My guide told me, "Are you kidding me? It's an address." But I Googled the address and it took me to a location. So I went to Google Maps to see where this location was. And in Google Maps, they had actually shown me a specific vehicle. So when I went to Google Maps, there's a little teeny tiny picture in the corner and I clicked on it and it was the vehicles that I had seen in my dream. It's the very specific vehicles. And I'm like, oh. So, and then I had to figure out who was related to this location. And I ended up figuring out who was the person. And then the songs that he sent me, everything was related. The most random thing was probably the Golden Gate Bridge, where I had no idea how that could be related to the whole situation, but it ended up being California. It ended up being like I figured it all out at the end, with the exception of the redwood, but the redwood trees are there where they naturally grow is in California. So
Northern California.
yes. So I'm in that direction right now. But I have a specific address and everything and a specific name. So I'm
And
there.
even there was a business at the address.
Oh, yeah. So I
It was
talk to the
business here.
person. I tell them about, what this address is. I'm like, look, it's so-and-so address. And they're like, oh my God, I've been to that business. I've been there. And I'm like, the list, the way they give you these, I call them Easter eggs. You got to find
Yeah, because
it.
you had to Google, you had to do Google Maps, and then you had to Google the symbolism of multiple things. And you were like,
I had to
Maddie, help
listen.
me with this
They
one.
gave me 3 songs. I had to listen to the songs of artists that I never in a million years have listened to. Well, as a matter of fact, I've listened to one of them, but I didn't know who they were. I've heard the song. I didn't know who the artist was. I didn't know these were artists to begin with.
Yeah.
2 of them were artists and 2 of them were specific songs. And with the artists, I had to guess which song it could be. And I was right. Using my intuition, using my other gifts to decipher what it is that I was looking at and how to put all this information together to get to where I ended up.
Finding the
But
connection between the signs and what they're
yeah,
all pointing to.
yeah, because like she said, I need answers. Like it'll drive me crazy if I can't figure out what it means. And it will just plague me and it'll be there and be there until either I can get the message across or I can figure it out what it is. Because I don't know if it's that they're not leaving me alone until I figure it out or until I get the message to the person that's supposed to receive it, or
Well,
if it's just me.
since you gave the person the message, have you felt it plague you? With the exception of the redwood, have you felt it like
No,
plague you the way it was? Because I
no,
remember
just the red one.
you called me or you messaged me and you're like, I need your help. Can you this is driving me nuts.
No,
Yeah.
because I was at work and I couldn't Google. I didn't, it was a very busy day at my job. I'd had no time to just sit there and look for the answers. So I'm like, I have this list and I had like 7 or 8 things on a list that they had all come to me at different points during the night because my guide was very insistent and they kept waking me up for each one of these things. I got woken up over 8 or 9 times to give me all these different messages and images in my head. And I needed to know, but I was at work and I was busy and I couldn't Google. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like, so I sent it to her and I'm like, could you help me with this? Could you help me figure out what all this is? I know she's just as gifted, if not more gifted than I am. So I was like, okay, she'll get it, and she'll help me. She'll look for it. It was a lot. It was a lot. It's the most that I've received together all in one night. But we got through it.
Such random stuff to be completely connected.
Yeah. So be very open-minded about what it is that they're sending you, because the most ridiculous thing that you could think of probably has a meaning, has a significance to it.
Exactly. That there are signs around you all the time. You just have to be
Mhm.
open and receptive to them, and be patient. Be
Mhm.
patient. Be patient, but be consistent with trying to figure them out.
Mhm.
You don't have to become obsessive. I can become obsessive sometimes, especially if I've been given I keep being given the same signs over and over and over again. I'm like, can you just write it down? Just write it down at this point. So you have to have patience, to let the answers come to you and all of that. Some of the tips, there was a blog that I had found of Anna Newsom at annayusum.com. She was saying you need to use your intuition to decipher the signs and synchronicities. Intuition plays a crucial role. She also said it was important to differentiate between intuition and fear-based thinking. Intuition comes from a place of inner knowing and wisdom, while fear-based thinking is driven by anxiety and insecurity. Learning to distinguish between the two can help us make better decisions and avoid unnecessary stress and worry. Patterns. That's what, that's what we were talking about earlier with the signs. We were trying to find the
Mhm.
patterns where they were all connected, being able to
Mhm.
see the patterns and connections that we may have otherwise missed. She also says synchronicities can serve as signs or messages from the universe, guiding us on our path. They can confirm that we are on the right track or provide guidance when we are feeling lost or uncertain. She suggests meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature to enhance your ability, your intuitive abilities to decipher the signs. She had a very long post about it, but it was really good information. I'll post the link of her information there. She broke it down well. So yeah, following your intuition and all of that. And again, we always end up at meditation. Meditation is what helps strengthen deciphering your intuition, listening to your intuition, and having it speak to you.
Mhm.
Meditation, and trusting yourself. You have to have a confidence in your intuition and in yourself. When you see the sign and you know what the sign is telling you, not to question it. That's a problem I have. I'll see signs and I'll get smacked in the face with them. Uh,
Yeah. Me.
like the first 5 times, it's like, okay, 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 and then, like, the 6th, 7th, and 8th time, it's a big old smack in the face, like, "Listen." So, paying attention and being open and all of that.
It's funny because with for some, I'm like
Bless
that.
you.
Bless you.
Thank
I'm
you.
just like that when it comes to everything, especially in this world, in this, what is it?
This,
In this,
I heard someone say the term the other day, and I should have written it down because it was
yeah,
perfect.
I don't know what the
Genre.
word is for
We'll
it.
just say genre, a
Yeah.
spirituality.
But so I'm always the one to question everything. But when it came to my feathers, for some reason, I knew. I knew it was my spirit guides leaving, my angels leaving me, my little feathers, and then I would pick them up, say thank you, and keep on walking. And I would keep them, like it bothered me to leave it there. Like I needed to pick them up and walk away with them. Why? I don't know. It's the one thing I never second guessed myself about ever. Till this day, I will see one, I will get excited about it, I will pick it up and keep on walking and take it with me. And I have a collection, I'm telling you. I'll eventually share my little collection of feathers, but I've got a
And
ton of
that's
them.
another thing, like you were saying, feathers were your thing and all of that.
Mhm.
Tons of ladybugs are signs for me. They've always just been special to me. I have a really early memory. I remember the first time I ever saw a ladybug, and I was with my uncle. And it's just so every time I see them, I take it as a sign. Like if I'm going through something or I think something, and then all of a sudden it's there, that's a sign. So sometimes things that are, what do you call that? You're emotionally attached to, like
Mhm.
certain things can serve as symbols for you and signs for you and your path.
Yeah.
So, like Ani was saying, dragonflies,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
They have a sentimental link for you. So the guides will use dragonflies because they know it's a link for you to give you further signs.
Today, guess what landed on the hood of my car? A dragonfly. It
A
flew and it
dragonfly.
yes, right on the hood of my car, and then it flew up to the glass and it stayed there flying. I'm like, oh my god! I'm grabbing my phone. When I grabbed it, it flew away. So I was not able to
They
take a
are so
picture of it.
fast.
They are fast.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was really surprised that it was there, but I was eating. I was with my son and we were eating, and it was just there, and I was like, what? And I remembered you had just recently told me about your dragonfly experience too, right? With the what was it? With the lawnmower, then?
Oh yeah, there were two dragonflies connected, and they landed on the top of my riding mower. And I was mowing. It wasn't like I was sitting still. So they usually don't get close to you like that. And they just plopped on. They were stuck together. I don't know if they were mating. I'd never seen, it's dragonflies like that, but yeah, they stopped. And I was in a tricky spot and I have my phone set up in a certain way, so I couldn't get to my phone and take a picture of them. But there's been a dragonfly that's been around my deck because I have a lot of plants and flowers and stuff for the last week. It's been on my deck and I keep seeing it over and over again. It's the same one. And I kept meaning to tell you guys. I was trying to take a picture either today or yesterday. I was trying to take a picture of it, but it zoomed in and out and it left. Yeah.
And for those of you who, and I recommended this before, but if you haven't seen the movie Dragonfly with Kevin Costner, if I'm not mistaken, go
Yes.
ahead and take the time
That's
to
what I'm
watch
saying.
that. Yeah, that movie is all about signs and synchronicities having to do with dragonflies. And it's very dear to me because I was heavily pregnant while watching that movie. So I bawled my eyes out. I don't know if it's because I was pregnant or what it was, but go ahead and watch the movie. I think you will enjoy it. It is about signs and synchronicities also. It's
I
an
think
old
I'm gonna
movie.
watch that. I might watch that this weekend.
It's really good. It's
Yeah.
just have a tissue bit nearby just in case.
Yeah. I saw clips about it and I was like, "Ugh,
Mhm.
I'd have to be emotionally prepared for that one."
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's really good. I'd
Yeah.
watch it. I'll
Sure.
watch it again. Another one for me is probably turtles. Well, it's for me and my husband actually, and it's funny that we're talking about dragonflies, and I just because I have a turtle with a dragonfly on it as a figurine. I didn't even realize that it had a dragonfly on it till I was looking for a pair, and I'm looking for and my son is like, "Mom, is that what is that green thing, that green bug on it?" I'm like, that's a dragonfly, okay." So I brought it home with me without the pair because I like buying I don't like having single figurines. I'll have two of each. But yeah, I've got turtles is another one for me. That's a like a good luck sign for me for whatever reason. Turtles.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
Um,
any other
I
I can
remember
signs?
remember right
one
now.
song I took as a sign when my husband and I guess we were about a couple months into, exclusively dating and everything. And we were laying in bed one night, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, he starts singing the verses to the song. It's a song from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those songs that, for what I loved it when I was a kid, and I know almost every word to the song. So for him, he came out of nowhere. Like, we were just laying there quiet and for a moment, and he just started singing the song, and I chimed in. And I don't know why that was, like, to me, a sign, like, that he knew the words to the song, the same song. Always and Forever, Heat Wave. That's one of our symbol songs. And it just, like, the chances that he would sing, that song that I specifically know and connect to in that moment, it was just, to me, a sign that he and I we were meant to be, you know what I mean? We were
Mhm.
connected, a synchronicity, so to
Mhm.
speak. Yeah. There's been so many you forget,
Mhm.
like, you try to write as many as you can down, especially the significant ones, but, there's just so many, you can't keep track of them all. You know,
No, there's too
you're
many.
constantly exchanging energy with the universe. So whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're focusing on, you're putting that out there, and the universe is going to respond.
Yes.
So that's how it works, generally speaking.
It could be through song, any song. Like, you can hear the same song a million times, but you hear it today and it'll mean something for you. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you have any others, Ani?
No, I can remember now. I know I have a lot of signs, but
There's just so many. You just can't.
my front
I
is
would,
the dragonfly and the numbers.
yeah.
Numerology, right?
Numerological numbers. I'm a 33, and I this ring I am notorious for losing jewelry, rings, earrings. Like, if I can hold on to something for a long time, it's like, oh my God. So, because I have issues with my hands, it's hard for me to find rings that don't bother me. And I've got my wedding ring, but I've got this ring. I've had it for like 14 years now or something like that. And it was through a coworker. She was going through a bad situation, and she needed gas money to get home from work that day. And I was just going to give her the gas money. And she goes, no, no, buy one of my rings, at least you get something, she felt better that way. I was like, okay, no problem. So I looked down, and this ring pulled to me, and it doesn't bother me. It stays on my finger. It never comes off. And there's 3 leaves on one side, 3 leaves on the other side. So it was a 33. And this was years, like 12 years before I knew what my numerology was. So, signs come in all shapes and forms, and in all different
Mhm.
kinds of places and stuff like that. And it just, it came to me. I wasn't looking for this. It came to me. It found its way to me, and signs and things will work like that.
Yeah.
So overall, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, listening to your intuition, being open to signs and all of that. Because synchronicity is described as the concept of meaningful coincidences that occur in our lives. It's when events or experiences align in a way that seems too perfect to be mere chance. And it often occurs when we are in tune with our intuition and following our inner guidance. So, an episode back, or a couple episodes back, we had spoken about flow state, when you're in that mental state where everything is flowing in your life and everything's going smoothly and everything. When you are able to reach that level of flow state, the signs and synchronicities come together even more seamlessly. They'll appear more to you. So if you want to receive signs about something, or you want guidance on something, meditate on it and continue to go through your daily life and be open to the signs that come to you. Write things down. I'm notorious for forgetting stuff. So I try to write things down, especially if it's like an important sign that I know I need to super pay attention to. Writing things down can help you identify the patterns also, because sometimes you'll get a bunch of, like we were speaking about earlier, you get a bunch of different signs and you're like, how does any of this relate? But if you look at the patterns that connect all of the signs, if you're able to identify those patterns, then you're able to be guided through what your signs are trying to tell you, what your guides are trying to speak to you, and the path you should be on. Yeah. So my biggest suggestion would be meditation, open mind, open heart, open eyes, and trust in your intuition and your inner guidance, that the signs and your intuition, what they are telling you is actually what it means, what it means to you.
Yeah.
And again, one symbol
And
for me can mean something for someone else. So you have to look at how these signs connect with you personally.
and don't dismiss the little ones, the
Yeah.
ones you think are insignificant, because they might have the most profound meaning.
Yeah. And sometimes you won't find the answers to those signs for a long
Yeah.
time. That's where patience comes in. Being impatient, low confidence, low self-confidence, and all of that are things that work against flow state. So you need to be in a confident state of mind of trusting yourself and what the universe is trying to tell you, trusting the process, like we always say on the show, that you're being guided in the right direction and all of that. It's a lot of self reflection when it comes to your signs and everything and trying to figure them out. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions, Ani?
The book, yeah.
I got you.
If one thing I will say is, for me, in my case, I'm not the biggest meditator. I've said it a couple times on here, and not because it's not a choice. It's just I'm working on it, working on getting better at meditating, and I just have a hard time focusing and all that stuff. And I know it's hard work, and it's just a lot of practice and routine. But if you're not there yet, if you're like me and you're not there yet, no matter how hard you try, you just aren't getting it. Prayer is another form of meditating. So you can go back to prayer and you can pray. And as long as you're communicating, you have that line of communication between you and your guides and God or whatever it is that you believe in, it's still a line of communication, and don't dismiss it. I mean, if you're like me, if you're good at meditating, well, that's perfect. If you're not that great at it, pray, because it works also. It's all about the faith that you have in whatever it is that you're doing, in the process that you're taking or trying to develop. It's all about that blind faith in whatever it is that you believe in, and it'll help you. It's a stepping stone. Don't, just because you don't get it the first time or the second or the third or the 12th time, don't stop. Keep doing. Don't block yourself, because you got to have that open pathway between you and your guides or whatever it is that you believe in.
Open mind, open eyes, and open heart.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's all for tonight. If anyone out there has any stories about signs or synchronicities that you've had, that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear your stories and your comments.
And remember, ask for the signs, because I think ask to see the signs, because we have signs all the time.
Exactly.
To see them, to be aware of them. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be, if you're not going to be open to seeing the signs, don't bother, because you'll be a blind man walking down a path, and you know what I mean? Like you have to be open to what these little things can mean. Because like we said earlier, you are constantly exchanging a beetle information with the universe, and the universe is always responding. whatever you are putting out, the universe is responding back. So you don't be afraid to ask for questions. Don't be afraid to look things up. Don't be afraid to be open to what, the things can mean to you.
Also, don't be, what is the word I'm looking for? Don't be set against something also. Just because you don't want to receive that message doesn't mean you're not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could specifically tell your guides, don't send me any more messages, but just because you don't want to see them doesn't mean that they're there, that they're
Right.
not there.
Exactly. They are there. You're just not paying attention to them.
Yeah.
There's a big old stop sign and you're just like,
Yeah.
just keep on going because you're not going to pay attention
And
to it.
sometimes you
That's how
can
it can
see
work.
because sometimes you can't see because we are always busy, on stress. We don't take time for us,
That's where
That's the reason
being
you can
present
see.
and in the moment comes in.
Yeah.
Being present in your current surroundings, always looking around you. So on our next episodes, we're going to be speaking about numerology, and then light workers and empaths, clairsentient abilities that empaths fall under. Those will be the episodes that we have coming up next.
Hopefully the information we share with you today has been helpful or beneficial some way to you. And please remember to trust the process. And we thank you for staying with us and hope you will join with us on another episode of Discovering Our Gift.